At first glance, it looks like just another pretty plant. But make no mistake about it, the Venus flytrap is a cold-blooded killer. It's quiet, sly, and efficient. And when the dirty deed is done, it barely leaves a trace behind. But it's why it kills that makes it so unusual and clever.
As we know, plants get most of their food from the air by taking in carbon dioxide and combining it with energy from the sun in the process known as photosynthesis. But what's also known is that plants need important nutrients that they get from the soil through their roots.
And that's a problem for the Venus flytrap because it usually grows in bogs, where the soil is extremely poor in key nutrients like phosphorus and nitrogen.
And when those nutrients are limiting or absent in the soil, they still need them, they have to get them from somewhere else. And one option is to get it by eating animals.
For the Venus flytrap, that means insects and other small invertebrates, mostly ants, spiders, and flies. Lots of flies. Which is good, because they need to order in when they're hungry.
Being sedentary, plants need to have means by which they can catch those animals. They can't chase them down, and so the common way is to set up traps.
And since a trap works best with bait, the Venus flytrap has evolved some effective solutions.
These traps are also colored brightly red, which may in fact be a mimicry where they are pretending to be something that's attractive to invertebrates, be it something that's looking like a flower, or could maybe resemble something like a piece of rotting tissue that is so exciting and attractive to invertebrates such as beetles and flies.
But color isn't everything. When it comes to drawing in its prey, the plant has another trick up its sleeve.
They have these nectar glands, or glands that secrete a sugary solution around the margins of the trap. And as we well know through systems involving insects such as pollination, insects are very attracted to nectar and flowers.
Scientists, however, are still pondering on how the plant closes its trap without the benefit of nerves, muscles, or tendons. One possibility is what you would call a hairy situation.
On the surface of the pads of this trap are little plant hairs known as trichomes. And these trichomes are very sensitive to touch, and once they become stimulated, it sends an impulse down to the midline. And this is what causes the spring-loaded mechanism. An analogy might be like Jack-in-the-Box.
Some scientists believe that this process is driven by some type of fluid pressure that's activated by an actual electrical current that runs through each of its two leaves, or lobes.
When those trichomes are stimulated, it sends a chemical message to that hinge, which will essentially cause a massive migration of ions and cytoplasmic-based water. And the movement at a very, very rapid scale of this, the ions in the water create differences in inflation of the cells that are in that midline with respect to those that are not, causing that midline to collapse on itself and close the trap.
Whatever the mechanism, it works. Once these hairs are triggered, it only takes 1/3 of a second for the lobes to close. But not every visitor is doomed.
There need to be at least 3 stimulated trichomes before the trap will close.
And there's a very clever reason for this.
And this makes sense evolutionarily speaking because it would prevent it from false alarm closing. Essentially, closing the trap without a prey inside would mean that that trap goes about 12 hours before it can open again, and that's time that it does not get to feed. And that would be a waste of energy.
With a fly caught in the trap, the truly gruesome work begins.
Once the Venus flytrap has effectively closed an insect into the trap, Specialized glands will secrete digestive enzymes into the inside of the trap and slowly digest that prey over the course of several days.
The entire digestive process can actually last as many as 12 days. And during that time, to make sure its prey stays maximum fresh, the plant's lobes manufacture an antiseptic juice that keeps the insect from decaying. In the world of a Venus flytrap, nothing goes to waste. Nutrients are just too precious. When all is said and done, this gritty survivor from the bog stays alive by shutting its trap.